Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to another episode of Accounting for Old Cars. It is Sunday the 3rd of August 2025. Significant date, not only because we're in the full throes of harvest, as you've probably just seen from the opening shots of this video, but today is the annual classic and sports car show at Helmingham. Now I have filmed Helmingham before. I think my last video was in 2024, and this year we're going along to really take a look at some of the ordinary cars that appear in the show. I think my video last year sort of really focused on a lot of the exotica, but my theme today is the sort of cars that people would have driven to work, kids would have been dropped to and from school in, sort of car that your father, grandfather would have had, or even a car that you yourself had. It might even have been a first car. So we're going to be in the main field for much of the video. I'll try to give a sort of a broad sweep of what the event is about. But this is one of the premier events in Suffolk, and one I always enjoy going to. I was a bit late organising this, so I haven't booked any tickets myself to exhibit, so we'll be in the visitors or spectators car park today, and yeah, we'll take off in a minute in my 1971 Exocet Missile, which is Bess, otherwise a Mark II Triumph Vitesse 2 litre. So yeah, we'll get Bess started, and we'll make our way to Helmingham. This is one of my favourite times of year here in Suffolk. The harvest of crops like barley, hay and wheat has really just started to get underway, and nowadays it's a fairly quick process. Machinery comes in and just seems to sort of tear through the crops, these enormous combine harvesters and tractors and trailers. But when I was a kid, harvest in our village where I lived with my grandparents was a really special time of year. Machinery was so much smaller then, and sort of things like collecting straw bales was all done manually still. You know, there'd be a little Ferguson or small Fordson major tractor pulling a flatbed trailer, and as kids, if we were old enough to hoik a bale up on a pitchfork, we'd also lend a hand, unpaid. We just did it for the fun of it, and I suppose little did I know that I was probably the last of a generation to actually participate in Suffolk harvests in a way that had been done for almost a millennia. But you know, by the 1980s, and machinery was bigger. Kids growing up in the villages were much less interested, and health and safety simply meant that you know, people that weren't farm employees weren't allowed anywhere near the fields during that time. And there was a kind of romance to this work as well. You know, the men would come out with their shotguns to shoot rabbits, you know, as the sort of the net closed in. Poor old rabbits would be sort of driven to the centre of the field into the ever diminishing crop, and so the poor old rabbits would be sort of encircled gradually and then shot as they tried to escape during the last or final swathes of the combine. But this wasn't really done for sport. This was done because we ate rabbit, and you know, I can remember my grandmother skinning and gutting these rabbits on her kitchen table, which we would end up in sort of casseroles and stews and various other things. Pies, I seem to remember. I will just say that if you've never smelt a rabbit being gutted, there is nothing fouler than the odour of a rabbit being sort of skinned and taken apart. But there you go, that was sort of part of rural life, you know, as late as the 1970s. And of course, then we'd have this sight that you don't see anymore of a stubble burn. And at night, the sort of skies around the villages would be glowing red from where the straw stubble was ignited and allowed to burn, and obviously the ash would then sort of lay on the fields ready to be ploughed in at the start of the farming year. All of that, for environmental reasons, has gone by the wayside. But it's a memory that's still very vivid in my mind. There we go. Head for the marshal. Thank you. So we're going to make a tour of the first field we come to, which is what I would sort of really describe as an everyman's experience. Cars that were regular parts of British society, street furniture if you like, that are celebrated in shows like Cars of the Unexceptional. But I think these are the ones that tend to resonate with people most because they're cars that people relate to, and I think, you know, from my point of view, these are some of the most interesting cars because of the memories that they evoke in all of us. You know, whether it was being taken to school in them, driving to work, our first cars that you know, our grandparents and parents owned. But we'll have a sort of wander through the field and see what we can find. So the cars that we're looking at here, and I realise actually I'm shooting into the sun, which isn't terribly helpful, cars really from the latter part of the 20th century. So again, we've got some very interesting examples from the 1980s and 90s. One of the most underrated of which that I can sort of think of is this wonderful Honda Prelude, and I can remember when these were, well, they weren't sort of common cars at all actually, because they were highly sought after in their day, but they were extremely smart, good looking vehicles, and again, these sort of very low scuttle, so the visibility over the front, particularly when you had the pop-up headlights was fantastic. And yeah, we'll have a duck under the wire just to get a little sort of closer look at this one. But yeah, beautiful car, and you can kind of almost see the sort of the American influence perhaps on the Japanese car designers. You know, when we look at things like the Trans Am, and again picking up that theme of the sort of coupe, the Capri. So this one from about 1986, I'm guessing, a 2.8 injection, and next to that, this rather splendid pair of de Chevaux Citroens. One of them beautifully patinated, clearly a lovely old workhorse, and then next to that, what appears to be one of the very last limited edition ones. So this one from about 1990, I'm guessing. I love the orange and white colour scheme here. Just coming across iconic Lotus Esprit Turbo, obviously made famous by the 007 franchise, and then a AC Cobra replica. I particularly like the leather work in this car. You just see, beautifully simple, but very snug cockpit. Have these fantastic side pipes here. Very nice little Mini, very smart. In terms of innovation, Citroen GSA. These are again very forward-thinking, very typical Citroen in their day, and a popular beige period colour scheme. Let's have a little look at the back of that. That's great. And sort of compare the kind of advanced engineering of this car from the late 1970s to the Escort from the early 1990s, and you can sort of really see that Citroen were still very much an innovative manufacturer. Another Prelude, rare enough to see one, but to see two, extraordinarily rare, and one of the rarest cars here, I suspect, this fantastic Talbot Sunbeam Lotus. Just have a little look inside here, and this looks absolutely immaculate. Just beautifully done.
Hi guys.
Yeah. Wonderful example.
We've got like 5, 6, 7 hours.
This is sort of really the last gasp of the Roots empire after Roots was followed by Chrysler. And I think I'm right in saying that these platforms were based on the Hillman Avenger, but very successful in rallying and sought after in their day. Interesting way to contrast the evolution of Mazda's MX-5, starting off with the Mark 1, again from about 1990, and then the Mark 3, which is the model that I have. This one with the electric hardtop as opposed to convertible, but for the purists, it's all in the detail, like these wonderful little door handles here, very delicate. And I've just realised this is unusual because it's an automatic. and I don't think I've ever seen one before, but I really do like the Nardi period steering wheel here. Lovely tan leather upholstery, and a UNOS import, but wearing its Miata show plates with pride, whereas the later edition NT3, again altogether much more modern cockpit. Actually a great cockpit, I speak from personal experience, but certainly I don't think we could describe it as charming in the way that this one is, even with its automatic gear selector. Of course, a big rival was the comeback from Austin Rover, or Rover, with this last gasp of the MG, and these cars with their sort of 1.8 K series engines were really popular in period. They had a little bit more sort of panache, I think, than the MX-5s. Obviously, they had the mid-mounted engine. Attractive vehicles, I think, and I think they've sort of got better looking with age, but plagued by the reputation for blown gaskets with the K-series engine. And I have to say that with some justification, I owned a Rover 1.6 convertible which had a 1600 K-series engine, and that blew its head gasket and warped the cylinder head after 100,000 miles, in spite of the fact I used to check the coolant level on that one on a daily basis. It still wasn't enough, even with the best maintenance, to actually stop that from happening. And then an Icon. So it's fantastic. Ford Sierra. We're just having a chat with my friend Steve, and talking about his car collection. If you saw the Friston show that I did a few weeks ago, you'll have seen me talk to Steve about his 1948 Studebaker, and here he is today in this wonderful MR2 with a sort of custom louvered back to it. But yeah, we were looking at the back of this fantastic Sierra. Other iconographic cars. At one time, I think considered to be the best car in the world was the BMW 5 Series E39, and still looks great today. I sort of mourn the fact that BMW have forgotten how to design beautiful cars, but yeah, this is one of them. And
then somebody we both knew.
And then next to this, sort of the origami styling.
Yeah.
I think Giugiaro and the Scirocco. And then the MG RV8. Again, one of the later iterations of the Buick-derived Rover V8 engine. Literally shoehorned into what's effectively an MGB body shell, but this is a beautiful shade of green. It's a sort of an olive green with this sort of wonderful magnolia hide interior, and then burr walnut dashboard and instruments. And I think this was sort of really in response to Mazda and its MX-5 in the early 1990s. Beautiful car, but of course just too expensive for the average sports car buyer. And again, sort of moving closer to the millennium, we have this sort of fantastic TVR. Not very good with my TVRs, I have to see. This is the Tuscan. These cars are for the certifiably insane, I think. Extraordinary power to weight ratio on these, and yeah, not for the faint-hearted, I don't think. And then another car which was a sort of pin-up really for a while. This one again from about 2000. Vauxhall's answer to mid-engine sports cars. Again, I'm not sure what the relationship was with Lotus with this, but there's clearly a sort of an interplay with the Elise, I think. Much more sort of angular in shape. A piece of 1980s iconography here. The beautifully designed and executed Mazda RX-7. Haven't seen one in the flesh for a long time. Really nice shade of light metallic green. And you look into the engine bay of this car, and there appears at first to be nothing there. And of course, this is one of the great examples of Mazda's rotary engines. Compact, high revving, and lightweight, and of course perfect handling because the engine's sitting back behind the front axle, so beautiful balanced car. Well, rare survivor, I would say. I suppose the 1980s wouldn't be complete without the E30 BMW. It goes back to what I was just saying about a time when BMW were interested in the ultimate driving experience and knew how to build pretty cars, and this is an example of one of those. Very simple, minimalist interior. This one in full leather. Which looks as though this has actually been redone at some point. Probably one of the most common sights on British motorways, the ultimate sales rep car from the late 1980s, the Mark V Ford Cortina. This one again looking remarkably original. Looks like a sort of higher spec, so whether this is the GL model. Yeah. Actually one of the run-outs, this is I think the last of the Cortinas, the Crusader, which was a sort of a run-out just before the introduction of the Sierra, and I think they were sold alongside in some of the dealerships because there was a general reluctance among the buying public towards the Sierra at first, but yeah. Every little chef car park would have been crammed with these, with attaché briefcases and suit jackets hanging on the coat hooks at the back. Bit of English iconography. Lovely Land Rover. Is this a 90? I'm not absolutely certain, but what I am certain about is this fantastic Triumph TR6 in this wonderful shade of saffron, and again, lovely to see this with its period correct steering wheel and gear knob and wheels. Beautifully done. And this one still has its petrol injection system, which I think in original form was expected to put out about 150 brake horsepower, which, when you consider the engine architecture, is similar to the Vitesse 2 litre, although this has a longer stroke, so it's a 2.5. That's an uplift in power of 50, so 50 more brake horsepower than the straight 6 2 litre. I don't think I need to say anything about this one other than just to give you a quick look.
I love it. This is absolutely stunning.
Just one of the best examples of Italian design and coach building on the superleggera principle of a tubular frame and then folded, hand-beaten aluminium. Iconic DB5. And next to that, an MG Turbo Maestro, I should say. Great colour, very, very rare. These were up against the GTIs of Ford and Volkswagen and Peugeot. Very practical 4-seater, 4-door family hatchback. Yeah. And then we're back to Giugiaro and the iconic Mark I Golf. The car that really created the whole idea of hatchbacks and ultimately led to, I think, the demise of the British sports car, really. Once these things became their sporting versions, you know, the GTI hatchbacks, it looked like the era of soft-top sports cars was over until the Mazda MX-5 of the 1990s. But that's a very clean example there. We've got a brace of Sierras, including this fantastic Cosworth, beloved of 1980s, 90s twockers everywhere. Again, this E30 in its 2-door configuration, which I think is the most attractive of the line, arguably apart from the convertible. But that is stunning. It looks great in that shade of red. Visitor from the other side of the Atlantic, a Pontiac Firebird, and then again we've got the 2.8 litre Ford Capri with its RS Escort brethren, one effectively being superseded by the other, again as the move away from coupes and convertibles. This lovely fly yellow Fiat. This one again X19, and another example of the Italian styling house. This is Bertoni, and I'm struck by the matching leather upholstery on this car. beautiful mid-engine. This one looks as though it's been sort of heavily customised at the back. I don't think they came with the tail light clusters like that in period. Great little 4x4. These wonderful little Suzukis, which are really lots of fun. I can remember in period these being described as hairdressers' cars, but in fact actually you could apply the same to the Fiat X19 unkindly. But I think that's to really misunderstand what these vehicles are about. Great styling. And XJS, and this one looks mean. This is sort of wearing again its American style quad headlights, menacing example in black. Yeah, fabulous V12 engine, and next to that the Bentley 8. So
just a few words before we do that. It's very apt that
just show you a little bit of the interior of this one.
as it's the 80th year since peace fell on so-called peace fell on.
And then we have here another bit of sort of 1980s iconography, the wonderful Saab 900 Turbo. I'm not sure if this is the Carlson version. Yep, this is the one to have, named after Eric Carlson, the infamous Saab rally driver. And next to that we've got this lovely early BMW. I can't remember what the E number on this is. This is the one before the E30, but again you've got the Alpina wheels and stripes. Very much a sort of standalone brand for BMW, and I guess a sort of precursor to the sort of the M series cars that came from BMW itself. So according to the badge here, this is the 2.8 litre straight six. Let's have a quick look, see what it says here. There's an E21. Yeah, beautiful example, and I would think again one of the rarest cars here. So my attention's just been drawn to this wonderful 1958 Chevrolet, and it is quite the barge. This again has a sort of lovely patina. It always surprises me actually that for these sort of enormous cars the interiors actually seem rather small. You've got plenty of legroom I think in the back, but you know, room for 6 slender adults. Very simple, elegant dashboard and fascia, and reminds me of that old song, we're not the jet set, we're the old Chevrolet set. And I sort of have an image of mum, dad and kids all driving off to church on a Sunday down a sort of unpaved road somewhere out in the American Midwest. Extraordinary car and extraordinary styling. Wonderful. And next to the car we've got this wonderful sidestep truck again from the 1960s. I'm thinking this is about 67, 68 looking at it. I think you can look at these two vehicles and you can say without any doubt they can only come from America. There's something unique about American vehicles of this era, and the same applies to the Pontiac Trans Am that we're looking at here with this fantastic screaming chicken logo on the hood. Fabulous. Fantastic colour interior. So, what you might expect in Hugh Hefner's bedroom, I think, that colour scheme. But yeah, it goes really well with the black. Fantastic. We have a Marcos based on the Mini. Great fiberglass, lightweight sports car. Again, very accessible. This wonderful coupe here, which sort of seems to steal from TVR Jaguar, is wearing the bonnet catches by Michelotti, and you can see these were the ones used on the small chassis Triumphs like the Herald and Vitesse, with the M script for Michelotti there. Very, very nice car. Yep. I really like this. Good looking, and I would imagine the ultimate sports car driving experience there. We've got another Trans Am over the way here, but the one I wanted to have a look at was the Jaguar XJ SC V12. This is before the full convertibles came out. These remind me of the sort of bower roofs of BMW at the time, or the, in a way one could sort of think of it a little bit like the Triumph Stag T-bars. These were always sort of less desirable than the full convertibles, but there's something about them that I really, really like, and I suspect now there probably isn't any real difference in terms of value or desirability. Yeah, absolutely lovely, and again just shows the difference between sort of British design and American design when you've got it side by side with the American Trans Am, and then in contrast sort of 1969 Mercedes SL. This one with the sort of stacked headlights, probably my favourite version. There's just something about it, very Teutonic, simple styling, but elegant. And I really love the painted dashboard on this car. Again, beautifully over-engineered. This is the 280 automatic, a real boulevard cruiser, which is not what would be said about the TR4A here from 65. And lovely shade of blue. This one wearing its Surrey top. So I sort of suppose a forerunner of the Porsche Targa tops She's had a new dashboard fitted here. Don't think that is original, but very, very nice. Sort of big Jaeger instruments, and again, motor Lisa steering wheel. Sort of very, very popular conversion for all Triumphs actually, and MGs of that era. Both my Vitesses have got these, and this is the sort of last of the 4-cylinder 2.2 litre TRs, styled again by Michelotti, and the basic styling was held over for the TR5, which had the straight 6 petrol injection engine. Just an interesting contrast. They're almost, I suppose, probably 10 years apart between this SL and that one. I know which one I prefer. But contrast again, the sort of no-nonsense German styling of those two, and the TR4 1960 styling of Michelotti, as we now move towards the 1970s, and Michelotti's reworking of the Triumph 2000, which was actually led by this particular project, the ill-fated V8 engine Stag. But you can see that the sort of front styling and rear styling became the sort of Triumph stable trademarks, and was echoed in the later Spitfires, GT6s, and to a certain extent the big saloons, and even cars like the Toledos and 1500s, etc. So please make your way back to your vehicles, and again, fantastic example of a sort of T-bar roof, and original steering wheel, which I absolutely love. This one, the 4-speed overdrive gearbox. Just moving down the line, and again we go from the British idea of a fast Ford pony car to its source of inspiration, the fastback Bullet Mustang, and then the purest of the designs, again from about 1965. Car that was at one time unfavourably called a secretary's car, but anything but. I mean, this one, the 289. Yeah, I really like that.
I bought 2 more for the holiday, and then but I'm going to go up to Wex next weekend.
And again, the idea of these coupe sports cars was picked up even by countries like Sweden and Volvo, with the famous P1800E. This one from 1970. I think at this stage these were still being bodied by Jensen in this country, but made famous by the TV series The Saint. And next to that, if you didn't like Ford but you wanted a pony car equivalent, then the Camaro. This one, the SS version. Moving across the field, again, we're sort of firmly in 1970s territory here, with sort of fast minis and fast Ford Mark 1 Escorts. I've immediately jumped on this fantastic Mark III Triumph Spitfire. For me, this is the ultimate Spitfire, the last of the round tails, a 1300 engine, free revving, Just again, slightly different to the first of the Spitfires because the bumper had to be raised to comply with the American legislative changes on car safety. But sort of bone in the mouth look looks fine.
The guys and girls at the top's got the best view. That's me standing this way.
Great little cockpit there, and this is clearly used and cruised, and all the better for it. I love that.
Still need someone right down the box. Yep, good.
Very nice MGB GT.
We're just waiting.
This is very smart. I like the wheels on this one. I don't know if they're special edition or not, but this is absolutely immaculate, complete with period radio on the side. Not sure whether this was a standard colour or not, but this is the V8 engined version. The concept developed by Mike Costello before being adopted by the factory itself, and making use of the Buick-derived lightweight V8 found in Rovers, TVRs, Land Rovers, etc., etc. Then we have it's very smart. I think this is russet brown Triumph Stag with a very nice Dolomite sitting next to it from 1977.
Exactly. But they get upset if I fell recovering it.
Have you watched that as well? Did you? Love that program.
And
We have to watch that series on average
for
twice a
people who
year.
are sort of unfamiliar with this range, these were sort of the answer to the sort of 3 Series BMWs of the 1970s. Very smart, executive, sporting cars. The ultimate, of course, being the Dolomite Sprint, which was the 16-valve 16-valve.
No, it's a Ferrari.
2
Tell us a
litre.
little bit about it. Ferrari Roma. It'll go
So we
70
have
mile
another
an hour.
example of the
Second
Triumph
gear.
Stag, and
First. So it's probably got
something that sort of caught my eye,
like 500.
which again was very common in the
620 wasn't a
1970s.
bad guess, was it?
This Mark III
And it's
Coke bottle
blue,
styled
so it's
Ford
not true.
Cortina
Ferraris do make
Mark
different
III.
colours, not just red. And it's a lovely colour blue.
This is
So
actually
how
a
long have you
great
owned it?
shade of yellow.
4 weeks.
Boomerang
Wow.
steering wheel.
To me,
This one
I
has the
am
later
4 weeks
dashboard.
and it's blue. Can I borrow your
so
engine, no?
This came after the sort of slope away
So,
fascias
0
of
to
the early
60
cars.
Oh, he's just done it and got back in. Exactly. No, 0 to 60 in about 5.8 seconds.
Yeah, very rare survivor. I mean, these cars are normally sort of worked to death, so it's extremely rare to see an estate version. Wonderful. And again, we've got another
I'll tell you
example
what,
of the
you save so
TR6.
much on facelift. You just open the window and put your foot down.
Very pretty.
Yeah, that's right.
Mark III,
Right. Okay, John, we ready? Shall we send
wearing a steering wheel from a later car, but this one's in beautiful condition
in the middle?
and
There we go.
is for sale. If I home in on this one, you can have a look and contact the owner if you're interested.
Modern Ferraris are reasonably cheap to run. As long as you can pay the
Lovely.
insurance and buy them. They do about 32.
I think one of my favourites is this Series 1
Pretty incredible. Right.
Land Rover, which has clearly been subject to a complete rebuild, including a new galvanised chassis.
We normally do it the other way, don't we? That's okay, there does.
I'm just going to have a little look in here because I love the interiors of these cars.
Right. So,
And this is
the Ferrari turns
absolutely
round
period
and then
correct,
makes
just
its
as I
way back
remember
up
as
the
a kid.
drive, and
The
then we
sprung
send the
steering
next car
wheel,
down.
and then you've got
So,
the 3-gear
coming
levers
back.
for high and low ratio, 4-wheel
I
drive,
suppose
and then
Ferrari's
4
main
forward.
opposition in many
Beautiful,
respects, the
beautiful
Lamborghini.
And then we've got a
So,
Granada Mark
have you
II,
got a blurb sheet? Tell me a little bit about
beloved
your
of British
Lamborghini.
traffic
This is a Lamborghini
Police.
Countach, 1988 and a half it's called. It's
I'm not sure. This is a gear, probably a 2.8, yeah, 2.8 Cologne engine.
The American version, which
But
is a anniversary.
I may have just found the car of the show here, and for me, it's this
UK cover
1964 1200cc Triumph Coupe,
bolt-on kit
and
parts, which is
I think, for my money, these are the prettiest of all the Michelotti Triumphs.
It's an Italian car.
Beautiful two-tone paintwork here. Very, very
Send
rare.
him down. Would you like to go down? I can tell you a little bit of story about
Just
Countach.
show you the interior here. So very basic
Would you like to go?
rear seating arrangement. I think this one's actually missing its rear squab because I
So noisy
suspect
that engine, you can't hear me.
this may be the preserve
So
of a
when
small dog, but
Lamborghini first produced
lovely
the
little wooden
Countach,
dashboard,
it was the world's
original steering wheel and gear
fastest road
lever,
car, with a top
absolutely
speed
lovely.
of around about 210 miles an hour. There was an accident on the A1, the Great North Road, and
just on the side you've got the
a gentleman was
Michelotti
going across
Vignali
the
insignia
dual
with the
carriageway
crossed
to
flags
go
there.
on the opposite side, the dual carriageway going south. He looked, he could see at least a mile
Absolutely
in any
beautiful
direction.
example. taken by a very good commentary which is provided each year here, and also infringing sort of copyright with YouTube. But we're just down at the bottom of the second field, just looking at some of these wonderful alphas. And there's just something about these 1960s and 70s Italian cars which makes my heart skip a beat. And the one we're looking at here is beautiful Farina style 1965 Alpha. I'm pretty sure this 1600 is the one which appears in the Edward Fox version of Day of the Jackal, which he spray paints hurriedly in the woods and swaps the number plates on to avoid detection. But on a day like today, it's really hard to imagine a better place to be than in this wonderful Spider. And then a car, again from I suppose my adolescence, the wonderful Alpha Sud. Drove one briefly as a company car, 1.3 litre. This is a 1.5 that we're looking at here, and I remember being so taken with it compared to the Mark III Escort that I had at the time. This was a different driving experience, and just everything about it, from the steering wheel to the wonderful Alfa Romeo logo, and of course a 5-speed gearbox, made it really, really special. And it felt so fast too in a period. You come along and have a look. Yeah, very hard to get excited about these sort of modern SUVs, but GTVs like this one here, absolutely fantastic. Obviously it's an Italian car, it needs to be red, but this 1977 version in blue is absolutely gorgeous. There are a lot of minis at this show, but I don't think anything quite as authentic as 275 YYB, which actually did compete in the 64 Monte Carlo Rally, and has the tickets to prove it. Absolutely beautiful. I think this is probably the finest example of a Mini Cooper S that you're ever going to see. I will just, for purposes of balance, show you what evolution does. It doesn't always mean better. Lovely purple Mark I Escort here. This is the 1300E, and very neatly trimmed in wood. I think you'd be pretty proud to own this back in the early 70s, and it has this glorious padded 3-spoke steering wheel. And then one that I haven't seen before, which is a 1600 Sport. Love the graphics on this. This is a sort of late Mark II 1.6. This is just before the era of the front-wheel drive Mark IIIs. Great colour, and coach lines picked up in the upholstery. I'm not sure if you can see this through the window, but again, great car. And then a 1300 Sport Mark I Escort from about 73, something like that. The Alpine register here, which seems to have an interloper in the form of a serious sunbeam tiger. Some of these wonderful looking cars, so pretty. And then one that we saw at Friston, which is the earlier Rapier, its wire wheels, and wow, just a reminder that Talbot was part of the Roots group. Have a look at this, in a different class altogether. Just a fantastic old girl. She really is wonderful. If you look at the sort of the rear ends of these cars coming down with this sort of vestigial tail fins, and then see the one right at the end, and just see how this American influence on styling first arrived in Roots, and then very gradually was sort of toned down for the later marks. Echoed, of course, by the Daimler SP250s, fiberglass cars with the Edward Turner V8 engine. Absolutely gorgeous. I don't think I've ever seen three of them together. The looks divide opinion, and I'll show you why when we have a look at the front of these. So if you haven't seen one of these before, as they say, has a face that only a mother could love. But there's something quite extraordinary about them nonetheless. And for many years, unloved and undervalued, but increasingly sought after now. Interesting car, it's caught my eye here, which is a Sunbeam. This is a Superleggera bodied, so Sunbeam Venezia. Let's just have a quick look. So this is, again, Superleggera being the method of construction. The car itself built by Touring of Italy, famous for the early DB series of Aston Martins. And this is not your ordinary Roots group car, but if you look at the dashboard and the instrument clusters, you can see exactly where its lineage comes from. Lovely Nardi dished steering wheel there, and a beautiful, if I may, that would be lovely, thank you, yeah. This is a very special car, it's really, thank you so much. And really,
A little bit smaller than this.
yeah, and actually that's the extraordinary thing, isn't it? There's a lot of room. It's a really comfortable sort of GT cruiser, and of course a lot lighter, I guess, than anything that would have come out of Coventry because of construction.
Yes. It was also slated to have the Tiger V8 Ford engine in it. Yes.
Wow. Yes, that would have been quite something, wouldn't it?
By the looks of the motor, it would be easy to change the back spark plug, which was always
Yes, you had to go in from the inside of you.
inside,
Yeah, but there's a bung or something there, I seem to remember. Yeah. No, you're absolutely fine, thank you. No, it's just absolutely fine. No, it'll be fine actually, because it gives me a chance to. I've photographed this before, but I've never filmed it.
There we go. Signed by Carol Shelby.
My goodness.
With a bit of agreement between Roots, Carol Shelby and Ford to supply Ford V8 engines for the Venezia.
All until Chrysler came along.
Until Chrysler came along.
And ruined everybody's fun,
Yes.
really.
Yes.
But any idea how many of these were built?
Yes. We know that 154 floor pans were sent out. actually.
Right.
Other people say it's 180. The touring numbers weren't sequential to the cars, so
Yeah.
this is 15200. 15199 might just as well have been a Ferrari or a Lancia or something. It's also thought that when the company was in its death throes, they might have made a few using other route floor pans which were identical to
Yeah.
the Scepter.
Yeah. So this is sort of the end of touring, is it? At the end of the, I mean,
Nearly the end.
almost the end of routes as well. But
Yes, it was pretty much the end of routes. This is probably this almost certainly was the last one built.
So I'm sorry about the abrupt end to the commentary and the filming I was doing at the show itself. Truth is that I literally ran out of battery power. The camera that I use with the gimbal used both spare batteries, and sort of gives an indication of how much footage I actually shot. How much will actually appear on this video remains to be seen once I've edited it. But I hope it was of interest. It's an amazing show. There's almost, well, I think there's somewhere over 1,000 cars there. So almost too many to really see and to look at. A little frustrating at times that we were interrupted by the live music and the commentators' PA system, but that is so a part of the whole experience that I wouldn't sort of complain about it, because I think it is what makes Helmingham special for visitors, and particularly for visitors who come along who don't know much about old cars. So some excellent work there by the organisers, and such a wonderful charity for each, the East Anglian Children's Hospices, that the Tollimash family, you know, give their home over to each year to raise money for children in end-of-life care and their families. So yeah, wonderful cause. And yeah, I've had a really great time. The rain has held off, and yeah, I'm going to go home, I think, and well, I was going to say put my feet up. Actually, what will happen is I will go home and start editing this almost straight away, so you'll get to see it soon. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care.